What up, YouTube? This is Brother Nate back on another lesson. Really want to talk about this. I got a couple requests for some people talking about high value men. I think is from Kevin Samuels. He's been getting a lot of trending activity lately, and I've been hearing a lot about what people are saying. A lot of women are favor for him. A lot of them are against it. But one thing I want to talk about is from women that I've heard who are in the church or who are in the Bible and the scriptures, and they kind of agree with it, but they don't really agree with it. They're saying like, I'd rather just have a godly man. And I really wanted to talk about this topic because a lot of what Kevin Samuels is biblical, but I think the way he presents it sometimes make it lost in the way people are interpreting it. So I just wanted to make a slide because this story right here, Ruth, a lot of women love this story about finding their Boaz. And if you know the scriptures, you know what I mean. So Ruth ends up marrying this well-off man, rich man, very kind man, who marries Ruth. And a lot of women they try to bring this story into their life, saying they're praying for a Boaz. But I want to talk about how you have to be a Ruth before you actually find a Boaz, or a Boaz is sent to you. So we're gonna get into it right now. I might do later. Might do other videos or plans like this later. But let's just get right into it. So the agenda, we're gonna talk about the background of Ruth, the mentality Ruth had before she met Boaz, and how did Ruth get Boaz to marry her. So start with chapter 1. So verse 1, now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and two sons. And the name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife Naomi, and the name of his two sons Mahlon and Chalion, Ephraimites of Bethlehem, Judah. And they came into the country of Moab and continued there. And Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left and her two sons. And they took them wives of the women of Moab. The name of the one was Orpah, the name of the other, Ruth. And they dwelt there about 10 years. And Mahlon and Chilion died, also both of them. And then the woman was left of her two sons and her husband. So Naomi lost her husband and her two sons. Then she arose with her daughters-in-laws, that she might return from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the country of Moab how the Lord had visited his people in giving them bread. So they initially left their land because it was a famine. So now they're going back because the famine is over. So verse 7, wherefore she went forth out of the place where she was, and her two daughters-in-law with her. They went on the way to return unto the land of Judah. And Naomi said unto her two daughters-in-law, go return each to her mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you, as ye have dealt with the dead and with me. So Naomi wants her daughters-in-laws to go back to their respective families. Verse 9, the Lord grant you that you may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voice and wept. And they said unto her, surely we will return with thee unto thy people. And Naomi said, turn again, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there any, are there yet any more sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? Turn again, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have hope, if I should have a husband also tonight, and should also bear sons, would you tarry for them till they were grown? Would you stay for them from having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieveth me much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. So Naomi is saying that she got married again and had children again, had more sons. Would you wait for them to be grown to marry them? Because that was the custom for the Israelites at the time. Is that when the son died and he didn't have children, that his widow would marry his nearest of kin, his closest relative. So Naomi said, like, I'm not going to get married again and have children. So you should go and just marry someone else in your own country. So verse 14, they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law. And but Ruth clave onto her. So Orpah, she's like, all right, I'm gonna go home. But Ruth stayed with her. Now let's see what Ruth does. Verse 15. And she said, behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me. And when she saw that she was steadfastly minded to go with her, that she left speaking unto her. So that's huge right there. So Ruth said, I'm not going back home. I'm going to stay with you. And she made this commitment where she said, where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Or where you lodge, I will lodge. And your people be my people, your God, my God. So Ruth did something that was big. A lot of people aren't ready to make that type of commitment. She was already willing to forsake a lot of her past, her life. You know, she left a lot of that behind to be with Naomi because she trusted Naomi. And it's like that's huge right there. A lot of women, they don't have a lot of trust for the older women in their lives, whether it's their own mother or their aunts, grandmother. Sometimes women can be really mean to each other, and even in the family. So it's important that you find a wise woman, older woman that you can trust and that you can really be mentored by, and really show you how to be not just a wife, just a strong woman. Because the strength is about enduring, and sometimes you got to be around that type of person to to find what you're looking for. So verse 19, so they two went until they came to Bethlehem, and it came to pass when they were come to Bethlehem that all the city was moved about them, and they said, is this Naomi? And she said unto them, call me not Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty hath dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, and the Lord has brought me home again empty. Why then call ye me Naomi, seeing the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty hath afflicted me? And Naomi was going through it. And in verse 22, Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter in law, with her, which returned out of the country of Moab. And they came to Bethlehem in the beginning of the barley harvest. All right, so let's just recap. So Ruth has the mentality of a wife before she meets Boaz. And what I mean by that, so this is Proverbs 18:22. Whoso finds a wife findeth a good thing and obtains favor of the Lord. So what is a wife? Genesis 2:18 says a wife is a helpmeet. She's willing to help her mother-in-law. So Ruth is already showing that she has helpmeet qualities. Number two, she is self-sacrificing and she doesn't complain about it. You can't be willing and saying, I'm sacrificing this, I'm willing to do this, or I compromise this, and then you complain about it. You can't do that. It's like it's all or nothing. If you're gonna do it with joy. Don't do it with complaining. And then she's willing to listen to Naomi, an older woman who knows the God of Israel. She's disciplined, feminine, agreeable. You see the Kevin Samuels rhetoric that he's talking about? That's what I'm saying. That's what he means when he says that. Being agreeable, being feminine, being, you know, being teachable. That's important. Find an older woman who's married or was married and learn from her. That's very important. So how did Ruth get Boaz to marry her? So this is the crunch of the story right here. So let's read the rest of the book. So this is chapter 2. Naomi had a kinsman of her husband, a mighty man of wealth of the family of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. So you see, he was a wealthy man. You see, high value man. He's probably, I'm sure, he was making over 10 grand a month. I'm very sure about that. And Ruth the Moabitess said unto Naomi, let me now go to the field and glean ears of corn after him in whose sight I shall find grace. And she said unto her, go, my daughter. And she went and came and gleaned in the field after the reapers, and her hap was to light on the part of the field belonging unto Boaz, who was of the kindred of Elimelech. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem, said unto the reapers, The Lord be with you. And they answered, The Lord bless thee. Then said Boaz unto his servant that was set over the reapers, Whose damsel is this? And the servant that was set over the reapers answered and said, It is the Moabitess damsel that came back with Naomi out of the country of Moab. And she said, I pray you, let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came and have continued even from the morning until now, that she tarried a little in the house. So, verse 8, Then said Boaz unto Ruth, Hearest thou not, my daughter? Go not to glean in another field, neither go from hence, but abide here fast by my maidens. Let thine eyes be on the field that they do reap, and go thou after them. Have I not charged the young men that they shall not touch thee? And when thou art athirst, go unto the vessels and drink of what which the young men have drawn. So Boaz is showing a lot of, when you say mercy, a lot of compassion towards Ruth, because he sees how she has been compassionate towards Naomi. So remember, you really reap what you sow. So if you're, a compassionate, giving person, you should expect that the Most High will send people with that same heart towards you. People call it the law of attraction. It's just you giving out good energy, and the Most High sees that, and He will reward you. So verse 10. Then she fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground, said unto him, Why have I found grace in thy eyes? And thou shouldest take knowledge of me, seeing I am a stranger. Verse 11. Boaz answered and said unto her, It has fully been shown me all that thou hast done unto thy mother in law since the death of thine husband, and how thou hast left thy father and thy mother in the land of thy nativity, and art come unto a people which thou knewest not heretofore. Verse 12, the Lord recompense thy work, and a full reward to be given thee of the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings thou art come to trust. Verse 13, then she said, Let me find favor in thy sight, my Lord, for thou hast comforted me, and for that thou hast spoken friendly unto thy handmaid, though I be not like unto one of thine handmaids. Verse 14, Boaz said unto her, At mealtime come now hither and eat of the bread, and dip thy morsel in the vinegar. And she sat beside the reapers, and he reached her parched corn, and she did eat, and was sufficed, and left. And when she was risen up to glean, Boaz commanded his young men, saying, Let her glean even among the sheaves, and reproach her not. And let fall some of the handfuls of purpose for her, and leave them that she may glean them, and rebuke her not. So Boaz, he's doing even extra stuff. He's telling his workers on the farm to leave extra grain on purpose. He's like, so she can pick it up, so Ruth can pick it up. So he's being very generous to her. Verse 17. So she gleaned until the field unto evening, and beat out that she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. And she took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw that what she had gleaned, and she brought forth and gave to her, and she had reserved after she was sufficed. And her mother-in-law said unto her, Where hast thou gleaned today? And where routest thou? Blessed be he that did take knowledge of thee. And she showed her mother in law with whom she had wrought, and said, The man's name with whom I wrought today is Boaz. And Naomi said unto her daughter in law, Blessed be he of the Lord, who has not left off his kindness to the living and to the dead. And Naomi said unto her, The man is near of kin unto us, one of our next kinsmen. So it's important too. A lot of women, they meet these guys, they meet these men, but they talk about it with their friends, but they don't really talk about it with older women who are experienced. You kind of have to, you don't have the best history of vetting men. You need to talk to them, talk about the men with older women who have a little bit more better discernment than you. And that's what Ruth did with Naomi. She knows his background. She knows about him. So it's good to have that type of counsel. All right, verse 21. And Ruth the Moabitess said, He said unto me also, Thou shalt keep fast by my young men until they have ended all my harvest. And Naomi said unto Ruth, her daughter in law, It is good, my daughter, that thou go out with his maidens, that they meet thee not in any other field. She so she kept fast by the maidens of Boaz to glean unto the end of the barley harvest and of wheat harvest, and dwelt with her mother-in-law. All right, so chapter 3. Then Naomi, her mother in law, said unto her daughter, and unto her, My daughter, shall I not seek rest for thee, that it may be well with thee? And now is not Boaz of our kindred, with whose maiden thou wast? Behold, he winnoweth barley tonight in the threshing floor. Wash thyself therefore, and anoint thee, and put thy raiment upon thee, and get thee down to the floor, but make not thyself known unto the man until he shall have done eating and drinking. So Naomi is giving her a play by play. This is what you're gonna do. You've been working in this field, he's been seeing you around, now you're gonna make you move. But it's like she's like, you gotta, you ain't she ain't telling her to sleep with Boaz. She's saying, I just want you to present yourself in a way that shows that you want to be with him. She's like, make this known. This is not a passive um, approach. This is not like choosing signals. He's like, you want him to know, like, I want to be with you. So she's telling her how to dress and how to present herself. So a lot of women, they don't have that guidance from older women like that. That classy, but at the same time assertiveness. That's important. All right, where I'm at. Oh, verse 4. And it shall be when he lie down that thou shalt mark the place where he shall lie, and thou shalt go in and uncover his feet and lay thee down, and he will tell thee what thou shalt do. And she said unto her, All that thou sayest unto me, I will do. So Ruth is obedient. I know people don't like obedience sometimes. Submission is sometimes a curse word to modern women, but it's important that being agreeable or submitting is a habit. You can't turn it on and off. You just have to be obedient to the older people in your life. Hopefully you have an older woman to help guide you. And that teaches you how to be submissive and agreeable to your man. So that's important to make that into habit. All right. And verse 6, and she went down onto the floor and did according to all that her mother in law bade her. And when Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of corn. And she came softly, uncovered his feet, laid her down. And it came to pass at midnight that the man was afraid. He turned himself, and behold, a woman lay at his feet, like, what the heck? Verse 9, he said, Who art thou? And she answered, I am Ruth, thy handmaid. Spread therefore thy skirt over thy handmaid, for thou art a near kinsman. So Ruth said, I'm thy handmaid, I'm your servant. It's like, spread out your skirt and cover me. She's like, I need you to cover me. I need a head. You're the head. I need you. So it's important that she made it known that Boaz wasn't just some random dude that she just like, if we get together, we do. I hear women say that. It's like, if I get married, it's cool. If I don't, it's cool. Ruth didn't have that mentality. She was like, no, I need you. And that's important for a man to know that. A man if he's going to risk marrying you or sharing his life with you, he wants to know that you're gonna be there, that you're committed. You got some skin in the game. And it's like, it's not just I'm some option. I'm not a replaceable guy. Especially if he's a high value man like Boaz. All right, so let's see what Boaz said. And he said, Blessed be thou of the Lord, my daughter, for thou hast shown more kindness in the latter end than at the beginning. And as much as thou followest not the young men, whether poor or rich. So he's like, I'm a little older guy. Boaz probably in his 40s, he's older. And that's the thing, like some of the women, y'all in your 20s, maybe even early 30s. Y'all gotta look at him. He might have to be with a man that's 40, maybe 50. Hey, you never know. And he's like, you could have been with the younger guys, but you with me. And so verse 11, now my daughter, fear not. I will do to thee all that thou requirest, for all the city of my people doth know that thou art a virtuous woman. She had a very good reputation. Very good reputation. She wasn't just messing around with the young dudes in the city. She was taking care of her responsibilities, taking care of her mother-in-law. She was taking care of the house, so she had a good reputation because she was a pretty woman. She was very pretty, but she didn't. She was like, I got plenty. I ain't got time to be dealing with them, and that reputation carries because it's not everybody knew Ruth in the streets. She ain't in the streets unless she working. Not a streetwalker. Verse 12. And now it is true that I am thy kinsman. Howbeit that there is a kinsman nearer than I. And now it's true that I am thy near kinsman. Howbeit there is a kinsman nearer than I. Tarry this night, and it shall be in the morning that if he will perform unto thee the part of the kinsman, part of a kinsman well, let him do the kinsman part. But if he will not do the part of the kinsman to thee, then will I do the part of a kinsman to thee. As the Lord liveth, lie down unto the morning. Verse 14. And she lay at his feet until the morning, and she rose up before one could know another. And he said, let it not be known that a woman came into the floor. Also, he said, bring the veil that thou hast upon thee and hold it. And when she held it, he measured 6 measures of barley and laid it on her. And she went into the city. And when she came to her mother in law, she said, who art thou, my daughter? And she told her all that the man had done to her. And she said, these 6 measures of barley gave he me. And he said to me, go not empty unto thy mother in law. Then says she, sit still, my daughter, until thou know how the matter will fall. For the man will not be in rest until he have finished the thing this day. So she knows that, you um, Boaz, he's a businessman. He ain't got time to, he about his business. He like, I gotta get this done. So we gonna skip a little bit in chapter 4. So Boaz, just to summarize the first part of chapter 4, is he's talking to his nearest kinsman and talks about how uh, Naomi's deceased husband has land, and now that he's passed away, he can inherit it. But in order to inherit it, he has to marry Ruth, who's his daughter-in-law, or that her Naomi's deceased husband had land, and what goes to his firstborn son. But since his sons are dead, in order to inherit the land, he has to marry Ruth, who's the son's wife. So the man declines that. So Boaz, he has the right to the land if he marries Ruth. So he marries Ruth in verse 13. So Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife. And when he went in onto her, the Lord gave her conception. She bare a son. And the woman said unto Naomi, blessed be the Lord, which hath not left thee this day without a kinsman, that his name be famous in Israel. And he shall be unto thee a restorer of thy life and a nourisher of thy old age. For thy daughter-in-law, which loved thee, which is better to thee than 7 sons, has borne him. So that's good. That's Ruth is a very beautiful story, very righteous woman in the Bible. And as we know, Ruth, she became I believe, the grandmother of King David, and then eventually, through David's line comes Christ, our Savior. So, in conclusion, leave the past behind, get therapy to help move forward. That's from previous relationships, ideologies, feminism, toxic feminism. That's not going to work with a high value man. High value man, I'm telling you. You got to leave it behind. Trauma, leave it behind. Don't take no old drama to your new relationship. Leave it behind. That's what Ruth did. She said, I forsake everything. I'm going forward. You got to do the same. Learn to be helpful to others. I say start with your family. We all have older women in our families, like our grandmothers, some of them widows. That's good. Just try to, be helpful, be supportive, be a helpmeet to others before you are with your future husband. That will always be good to have in your catalog, just like a resume. Like, someone asks you, like, you want the job, you got to have experience. Be like, yeah, I help my mom, I help my father, I help my grandmother, I do this, I do that, and have references that they can vouch for you. That's important. Find an older woman to mentor you. Ask her about potential men you meet to vet them out before you commit. Like I said, You may meet a great guy or he seem like he's a great guy, but sometimes in the history you may not have the best skills at discerning good character. Sometimes you may need an older woman to help you with that. That's why it's important to to be around happy married couples or couples who are um, about their duty and their sacrifice. That's important to be around them so you can glean information from them, not being around your hot girl summer friend. Be assertive and decisive. Let your request be known that you want to be committed and you need the man or you need the that man. Typo. Let him know that he is not optional. He is necessity. So that is important. A man wants to know that you don't. It's not just some option. He's not just another, phone, another number in your phone. No, he's not just another uh, number list, a name in a list of guys that you got. He's the necessity. You're committed to that one man. A man needs to know that because it's going to make him see you in a favorable light, and then learn good habits and forget the bad ones. So that's all I got. Hopefully, somebody got something out of it. I really think Kevin Samuels, he says a lot of good things, and sometimes just the way he says it sometimes can go over some people's heads. But hopefully, you gain something from that, and just hope everybody just grows. We all need to move forward, especially us in the so-called Black community. We got to grow. We got to get better each and every day. All right, y'all. So have a good day. Peace.